Hello, welcome to Super Auto Pets Nightly, August 14th, 2024 edition. Let's hop into a game. And for a change, I have something to talk about. Although my brain probably can't play a game and talk at the same time, I'm going to take a stab at it. And that is, someone asked a good question, a follow-up question to a previous question. Why cupcakes? Why am I feeding cupcakes? Are they really worth the money? For the temporary stats that they give and for the boost that the rabbit gives when you feed a pet. Yes and no. They're probably not worth it in most instances, but the way we play and the team we're trying to build, it really is part of the overall strategy. So let me try to explain. We really have two goals. One is to take out low-level summoning builds, and two is to win. And the last three nights have really exemplified how nuanced our approach is, because we've lost the first game each night. And I don't think any of them were to low-level summoning builds. And that's bound to happen to us. It probably won't happen that quickly each time, or 3 days in a row getting knocked out of the first game. Wow, we're not getting 8 worms, are we? Looks like we might have multiple games tonight too. But we look for worms and rabbits. Those are the only two pets from the early tiers that we're looking to keep because they synergize well with the food buff. And it seems we're not going to find either tonight. Oh, there's first worm. So let's drop a pig. Pick up a worm. Another one would be beautiful. Or not. Okay, well, it is what it is. We, in the coming rounds, the next 2 or 3 rounds, are extremely susceptible. We'll be selling off all of our pets except for the worm, if I remember to, and we will be picking up a rabbit. And so here we go immediately. Selling off, picking up the rabbit. Now, the reason we feed cupcakes now is we are going through a transitional phase, building this team, and we're already down 1 life. We're almost guaranteed we're going to lose another life or 2 while we transition to where we're trying to get, which is a team that will take out low-level summoning builds in game. The cupcake buffs the worm temporarily with power that we don't have right now from a heavy attack like a blowfish or a rhino. So it also permanently boosts the worm from the rabbit buff. So we are trying to stem the losses and trying to embiggen the worm. And many times we grow it so big it becomes a heavy itself, and or it backs up the heavies that we bring in later. So this part of the game, that's the strategy behind the cupcake. It's to the same as with the garlic. We're trying to strengthen the worm, turn it into a temporary heavy, even if it's just for a round, and survive till we can get to the late game and face the summoning builds. So let us continue. So yes, we would feed the worm 2 cupcakes this round, but probably not if we're going to keep all those. We might not need it. And we're not going to this time, because we're going to go for a different heavy. So the question now becomes, do we sell off the duck and the rabbit, which we're going to, if not this round, next round, and pick up the blowfish or skunk, both of which are pets we would want on our team. In fact, if we could take both, we would definitely take both. But this is our heavy, and this is a pseudo heavy in so much that it does a lot of damage. It does it up front by taking health off the highest health opponent. But so they both are heavies in a way, but this is probably the heavy we would take over the skunk. And the question is, do we bring the blowfish in now? We can't feed it. We can't protect it. So I think we don't. And we just immediately sell off the rabbit and the duck next. So let's go ahead and go with this in mind. And we should lose. Well, maybe tie. No, we lost, I think. Yeah, lost. Oh, nice. I forgot that buff from the ant. So a draw. We did tie. Very, very nice. Oh, there's a worm. So we will definitely be buying that. Combining. Thank you. We'll definitely be buying the blowfish. We will definitely be protecting the blowfish. Now the only question is, do we sell off the ant and feed the blowfish, or do we keep the ant and wait? And we have our heavy. The worm is no longer going to get fed. The blowfish replaces the worm from the temporary heavy to the permanent heavy. And by heavy, I mean heavy damage dealer. So that's why we're protecting the blowfish and not the worm with the garlic. And it's why we would consider feeding the blowfish the cupcake now. It's low stats. People have already been building for teams to compete with us right now. We have 4 lives, which is unique when we get a blowfish. We often get one later. So here, the consideration of feeding a cupcake immediately, it isn't as necessary as it normally would be, but we're also looking at the temporary, not just the temporary buff, we're also looking at the permanent buff from the rabbit. So at this point, we could either spin once trying to get another worm, another rabbit, or we can just dump the ant and take the temporary and permanent buff, and hopefully this will turn into our second win or prevent us from losing our second life. I always feel we're slightly, not this time, but most nights I feel we're slightly behind the curve when it comes to building our team. I always feel we're just inches behind, and you often see that as we get to these middle rounds, which I'd say are like the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round. You often see we're down to 1 or 2 lives, maybe 3, and we're building on our heavy, and the heavy gets knocked out quick, and then the next round it almost makes it through, and then the next round it starts dominating the other team. So the cupcake, in my opinion, has a lot to do with that. I'm going to go against what we would normally do. We're going to pick up the squirrel since it's still way early. We can sell a duck and make a buck. And I should have done it beforehand. We would actually beefed up the squirrel. Didn't even need to sell the duck. That was a bad mistake across the board. Plus, we have to fill that duck spot now to really, make up for it. We could feed the blowfish the pair because we don't have a cupcake, and I'm not averse to that. If it was a matter of holding the pair versus potentially feeding, I would feed. We're going to roll. The $2 apple to me is the waste. I try to avoid it until it gets to tier 2. Right now, we want a skunk, another blowfish, a rabbit, or a worm. And that's probably about it. Well, there's another blowfish. And we should have sold the duck now, and it would have permanently buffed the blowfish. But we've got a tier 2 blowfish. I'm not complaining. We're going to hold the squirrel because next round we're going to have $1 off the first 2 items in the shop. If we buy the second squirrel, then those 2 items would be 2 coins off. So let's go ahead and go. And we'll see if there's a time where I can show why I would be feeding a cupcake now after we have the heavy. But we're really still, we are not in any position to win. And we're only going in with 4 pets. And 3 of them are very weak, as you see. And we still almost took that team out. So the cupcake, if we would have had one there, could have been the difference in giving that blowfish enough time to wreck enough pets on the other team we could have drawn. So that's another instance of where instead of a pair, there would have been a cupcake that I would have fed. We skipped the pair, and I think that cost us our opportunity at a tie or a win. So here we go with the rabbit, and that just throws the squirrel to the wayside. Now for 1 coin, we're absolutely buying this. I don't want those for 2. I'm going to take 3 rolls. If we can't get something better than a squirrel, we'll combine the rabbits, buy the squirrel. I'm hoping for a worm or a rabbit, but the worm is what we want most. If we come across a cupcake, we will absolutely hold that. Especially because I don't think candy bars are available yet. If they were available, I might skip the cupcake, praying that we got a candy bar in the next 2 rolls. We're looking for something that is going to immediately or next round buff this team. That is interesting. Okay, so we're feeding the cupcake because we want the temporary buff here to power this up, fortify its health even temporarily with the cupcake buff, and double feed by the rabbit. So this is part of the strategy of the build that I choose to do. And again, this whole strategy revolves around us trying to beat one team, the low-level summoning build. And many nights we're not going to face that, as we haven't the last few nights at times. And many nights we will still beat teams that are not low-level summoning builds. Happens often. But some nights someone's going to have a build that just counteracts or it just has the right strength or the right synergy, the right dynamic to combat and compete with us, and they knock us out. So there we are. There's our worm. It's a coin. We're feeding 1 coin. We're going to buy 2 squirrels against my better judgment. And that's why we aren't finding a skunk. We wanted a tiger or a snake, and we're going to have one next round. Oh, and we can upgrade it immediately. So I'm banking on this blowfish and here we are. Now that dog is going to get us, but this is the team we're trying to compete against later. The problem is it came too early for us, and we're going to lose. Most likely. Well, yeah, we're still going to lose. We're just not ready to compete with someone who's been building that way yet. But we're getting there. And here's our rabbit and our skunk. Wow. Okay, so we got a lot going on here. First, we've got to sell the squirrel or the worm. So the squirrel, to me, has done its job. It's gone. The rabbit is coming on board and combining. The snake is coming on board. We should have fed the snake first, but we didn't have room to have both the rabbit and the thing. Now, we are obviously feeding this. We are buying the skunk, but that tiger could be huge behind the skunk or the snake. It's too early. We can't add it. We want the worm rabbit food. The blowfish isn't strong enough. Unless we keep them with a tier 2 apple guaranteed, or a level 2 apple guaranteed in the shop, and the rabbit buffing, we're not going to win with that low level of blowfish. So here again, that apple is a guarantee every round we're going to buy, unless we hold it for a round. But the cupcake is part of this strategy now too. We've got pets behind that are going to complement the blowfish as a heavy, but it's not heavy until we make it big, as someone else commented, which made me laugh. Now, many nights we would grab the rhino and say, okay, we're going to do a double heavy. And the nights I do that, either this blowfish would be so low it makes sense to bring the rhino in and start feeding it, or it would be so big that we would bring the rhino in because we don't need to feed this anymore. We're in that no man's land here with that blowfish, and we don't really have room for the rhino. So the rhino does not fit tonight and the situation we're in. If we had 3 coins right now, we would feed the blowfish the pair rather than roll. If we had a 1.5 level skunk, we would probably roll 3 times, or a 1.5 snake. Or if we were one off from a level 2 worm, we'd probably roll 3 times looking to hold one of those. So I hope this is making sense, because I don't know that I'm right. It's all gut instinct. I'm not smart enough to figure out the dynamics. I just go on what seems to be right. And most nights I think we do pretty well. The last few nights, we've still won within 2 games, but we have definitely got shown our weaknesses in the others. I think one of the nights, though, it was really pretty bad RNG. That steak is coming on board, and it's going to the snake. Another one, if we get more steak, and we do want to switch to a chili perk on the blowfish soon to take out that low-level summoning build. That's also why we use chili perks on our heavy, is it chews through those low-level summoning builds. Against a bigger team, it would be like a 50 health hippo. It's the wrong thing to do, because we're not worried as much about what's behind it as we are about taking that hippo out before it beats our heavy. With that being said, that's why the skunk can become so crucial to our build, because it can help us deal with a team that is based around a heavy. So a little more info. So another stake, we'd probably put it on the skunk and or one of these 3 and put them up front in front of the blowfish to protect it. In fact, we still might put the worm up there. And there's our chili perk. And there's our stake for next round. So next round, and we do have an extra life to give. I'd rather not, but I'm also, you know what, let's do the worm. I'm concerned that it doesn't deal much damage, and it could be helping a peacock to take out our blowfish if we can't take it out fast. So that's why I'm hesitant. But I'm also hesitant to find we have a level 1 1x1 scorpion up front that immediately just crushes us by taking out the blowfish. Okay, well, this is going to work, I think. Yeah. Not bad. Very nice. Snake is a great addition behind. Tiger would have been a great addition behind any of these three, should we have had room for it. Okay, so first, second. Now the question is, do we go for a level 3 snake? And I think right now we look more for a skunk than anything, even more than a blowfish. A skunk would be better, but we're going to hold the snake since we have 4 additional spots, and we could also get, we're looking for a food right now, and there it is. And that basically has just convinced me we're feeding the skunk. It would make more sense maybe to try to go for the level 3 snake, but we're susceptible still to a team with 1 or maybe 2 heavies. So if we can get to a level 2 skunk, I'll feel much more comfortable with the skunk upgraded. So we'll still hold the snake a moment. It's too late now for buying 3 worms and getting a level 3 worm. We'll supplement with cupcakes or other food. Scorpion, it's not necessary or worth it. The only thing we dump right now would be the rabbit, and we're still too far away from securing an overall victory for that. It's probably not in our best interest to hold the snake anymore, actually. Now I would be more inclined to go for the blowfish, but the skunk is who we're focused on now. So let's roll into battle, or inchworm into battle. And here we go. Low-level summoning build. The stake on the worm, absolutely worthless. But with that being said, the chili perk on the frickin' blowfish with the snake behind it, look at the devastation this is causing. That is the team we're trying to beat, because that's the team I think we see most often, those kind of teams at the end. And the cupcake for me, and there's the blowfish. We will take that. We will feed the blowfish. So we got 2 rolls to try to get a skunk or a candy bar. It's a no-brainer. Okay. This is a good team for us to be against. Really good. Really, really good. And that cat just killed that peacock. That was beautiful. Now, here's the one flaw in the way I play that is a self-inflicted wound, but not all the time. I don't like getting rid of the rabbit and or the worm in the late game when they're the nucleus of our team that has brought us this far. The right move here would be to sell the rabbit and bring the skunk in. And I just don't do that normally. There are nights I do. I think I did a couple nights ago when we had lost the first game. I think in the second game, or maybe it was even the first game, I recognized dump the rabbit, bring in a skunk, I think it was even. I'm reluctant to do that. I'd rather keep the team together when it's getting late in the game. So we're not even going to buy the skunk because it makes no sense. We'd be better off feeding the pizza right now than taking this to one more dip to a level 3. Cupcake? Absolutely. I will cupcake the worm. It gives the temporary boost in case they've got a heavy that the skunk doesn't take down low enough, and it gives the permanent buff from the rabbit. Now, I would do the cupcake again, but we can put stake on the skunk, have double stake protecting the blowfish. So we're going to go that road. I would hold the cupcake and feed it with the apple to probably one of these, but there's a chance we could get a candy bar and a blowfish and immediately get a tier 3 blowfish. That will prevent me from holding that cupcake. If the cupcake or two show up in the shop next time, we'll probably buy it or them. Because now every little bit of extra damage and health can be the difference between us taking out their pet or their pet taking out us. And this is the team again. We are here to beat. And it would have been better to have the blowfish up because they would have taken this team out fast. With that being said, doesn't matter. Blowfish still got him. So we're going to feed the skunk once. Now, if we were playing to win rather than playing to save this team in its current form, we would sell the rabbit and bring the tiger in, pull the skunk back, and it would effectively become a second skunk. But that I don't want to sell the rabbit, and if we have an extra life that I feel like gambling, I'm going to re-roll. Because otherwise, we would sell the rabbit, hold the pair, buy the tiger, move the skunk back, and then roll once, or I believe we'd get 2 rolls. And then if we didn't get anything better, we would feed the pair. But since we're not buying the tiger, we don't need to hold the pair. We're going to take 3 rolls at something, specifically a blowfish is what we're really looking for, or a candy bar. Wow, let's roll. Let's stop talking and start rolling. At this point, I will hold the pair. If it was a cupcake, I'd be even happier. We're going to feed it. Temporary buff, permanent buff. So that is why the cupcake, in this instance, the pair. And there we go with the double heavy. Not a team we're built to beat. And they competed very admirably. But we're okay against that tonight. And there's our blowfish. Feed the skunk. Roll twice for fun. Actually, next round, I would feed the sushi if we had enough coins. But we don't. And if we lose this round, I would consider replacing the rabbit with a cow first. So we will hold it just in case we lose. Then I would consider dumping the rabbit, buying the cow, feeding something twice, and then getting a skunk, a tiger, something in here that will better ensure that we win next game or next chance. Don't think we're going to lose, though. I think we're okay. Yeah, we should be fine. Not a team we're wanting to face, but that's a team that obviously we are more than capable of handling. The problem with the last few nights also, as I think I pointed out, we weren't beefing up the backfield. We would have like a heavy and someone else up front, and there was nothing behind them that could stop when someone got through our first couple pets, pet or two. So tonight we've got 2 pseudo heavies because of the stake. We've got our heavy. We've got an additional damage dealer working with the heavy. And even that, was ready for backup. The only weak link is the rabbit, and we accepted that because I thought we could go into these last couple rounds without the rabbit. It wouldn't have mattered. So hope that explains the cupcake. Cupcake is probably not a great use of 3 coins in almost most builds in most instances, but for us, it's actually baked into the cupcake strategy that I've chosen to employ. What did we get? Oh, tomorrow night. Oh, I can almost taste the reward. Putting the cart before the horse here, or the rabbit before the worm. But yeah, I'm excited. We should hopefully get a reward tomorrow night. So thank you to all the comments. Thank you to all the views. Thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you to the old subscribers. None of you older than me, so don't worry about it. I'll be long gone and this channel will be obsolete before it even begins. Thanks. Bye.